Hi, I'm Steven. I work in the teen department here at the library. I like all kinds of books, but my favorite kinds are graphic novels, adventure stories, and really any book that's really old.
Hi, my name's Teresa. I am one of the librarians here at the library who works primarily in the children's department. The kind of books that I like to read are, I love science fiction, I like adventure, fantasy, I like any book with a mystery or a puzzle to solve, and books with interesting settings or characters that are really different from me.
Hi, my name's Amanda Harris, and I am one of the children's librarians at the new Albany-Floyd County Public Library. And I want to start by telling you a little bit about me. I've been working at the library for over 17 years. I love what I do here. I love working with kids and teens, and I love sharing books with people. And some of the books that I love to read are the scary ones, so the scarier the better.
Hi, my name is Miss Abby, and I'm the Youth Services Manager at the new Albany-Floyd County Public Library. You will find me sometimes in the children's room and sometimes in the teen scene, and I like reading all kinds of things, but I especially like reading non-fiction and realistic fiction.
This book is called The Fairy Ring, or Elsie and Francis Fool the World, a true story by Mary Losure. So it's a non-fiction book. It's based on something that really happened in England about 100 years ago. Back then, World War I was going on. They called it the Great War, and Elsie's father went to go fight in the Great War, and she and her mother went to go stay with Uncle Arthur, Aunt Polly, and Elsie's cousin Francis. So Francis took Elsie to her favorite place in the woods. It was a stream and a waterfall, and then she told Elsie a secret, that one time she saw tiny little men walking through the willows, and they're real fairies. Later, Francis sees more fairies, but when the grown-ups find out, they make fun of Francis. So Francis tells her father that if he'll let her borrow his camera, then she and Elsie will take pictures of the fairies and prove that fairies are real. What the grown-ups didn't know is Elsie was a very talented artist, so she would paint pictures of the fairies and cut them out on the paper. And back then, taking pictures was a little bit different than it is now. You don't just have like a smartphone or a digital camera. You had to have this big sheet of glass and stick it in the camera in order to take the picture. So they put the pictures of the fairies on the glass, stuck that in the camera, and when they took the pictures, the drawings that Elsie had made showed up on the actual picture. And it looked like real fairies, or at least that's what people thought. You can judge for yourself. So I don't know if you think these pictures look real or not. Would you have fallen for this if you had seen these photographs? Does that look like real fairies? Well, the grown-ups at the time certainly thought so. Remember, photography was really pretty new back then. And so they thought these were real photographs, and the girls were feeling pretty good because they tricked the grown-ups. But one day, they saw the photographs in the newspaper, and people were starting to talk about it all over town. It's in the local news. Do you think the girls should tell the truth at that point? Should they say that they faked the pictures? What would you do? What about when it's starting to be talked about all over the country, and it's in the national newspapers? Do you think the girls should tell the truth? What about when they get a letter from a famous writer, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and he says he believes in the fairies and he's coming to visit them so he can investigate for himself? What would you do? Would you tell the truth? Do the girls tell the truth? Or can they hoodwink the man who invented the famous detective Sherlock Holmes? Or do they decide it's time to tell the truth? You'll have to read The Fairy Ring to find out what happens.
Okay, this book is called How I Became a Ghost by Tingle. So this is historical fiction. It is about a boy named Isaac, who is Choctaw. It's a tribe of Native Americans, living in about 1830. So it's a long time ago, maybe Little House on the Prairie time period, earlier than that even. Isaac lives in a house with his mom and dad and his brother and his dog, in the Choctaw lands, which are in the southeast, like what would now be Georgia. They've lived there for generations, his people have, but more recently there are these white men, settlers and soldiers that have been trying to come onto their land and take their land, and they've been in these treaty negotiations. But Isaac starts having these visions, and one of his visions is he keeps seeing like fire and buildings on fire and people having to run out of the buildings. And then one night, the soldiers come to the Choctaw village and they set everything on fire, all the buildings and homes. And Isaac and his family and all the rest of the people have to run away. They run into the forest. It's winter time. It's very cold. And Isaac's having another vision. He's seeing people who are very sick. And then these soldiers come and they offer blankets to these freezing Choctaw people who take them, although Isaac's parents tell him not to take them. They don't trust these soldiers. And it's a good thing because these blankets are infected with a deadly disease. And so all these Choctaw people start getting really sick. And as you can see, Isaac's visions are coming true. And then the soldiers, they order all these Choctaw people to walk. They have to walk a very long way, a very hard road, all the way from what is now Georgia to what is now Oklahoma. They have to really walk a long way. This is called the Trail of Tears. So this is a real historical event that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't. And this recounts the beginning of that. So this book is the first in a series. I think there are going to be more. But as for Isaac's visions, Isaac learns that he can see ghosts and he can talk to ghosts. And he also learns that he is going to become a ghost very soon. So if you've never read a book where you know the main character is going to die and become a ghost, this is a very interesting book, and that's your chance to read it. So if you like historical fiction, if you like adventure, this would be a great one for you. It's called How I Became a Ghost by Tingle. And Tingle is also Choctaw, by the way. The author of the book is Choctaw. So he's kind of writing about his great-great-great-grandfather.
Today, the book that I'm going to be talking about is called The Great Green Heist by Varian Johnson. Jackson Greene has swagger. He's cool and totally comfortable in his own skin. And everyone knows Jackson in the halls of Maplewood Middle School. And though he's reformed, you can sense Jackson's new leaf hasn't been turned over permanently. He's on a slippery slope as far as scheming goes, and given the right motivation, he might get his hands dirty again, especially when his buddy Charlie de la Cruz comes to ask for Jackson's help. Charlie's twin sister Gabby, Jackson's former love interest, is running for school president, and Charlie wants to make sure that she gets elected. At first, Jackson turns him down, but the more he learns, the deeper he gets, and now Jackson is masterminding the Great Green Heist. To pull off a great heist, you need a good crew, which means Jackson Greene would need to pull together a variety of characters. But is it worth it? Does he have the energy and willingness to pull off this crazy scheme? If you like a good school story or something with a little adventure and a little bit of humor, then you won't want to miss this book, The Great Green Heist by Varian Johnson.
The Jumbies by Tracey, Baptiste. On Corinne's island home, people often talk about the Jumbies, evil spirits that live in the mahogany forests and cause trouble for people who cross their paths. So you may have heard of supernatural creatures like werewolves, vampires, and zombies. In Corinne's island home, they call them Jumbies. And there are many different kinds of Jumbies that are said to live there. There are the Dwens. Dwens are spirit children that travel in packs and have backwards knees and feet. If they know your name, then they will call you, and they'll sound just like your mom or your dad calling you so that you'll go to them. And if they get you, then they turn you into one of them, and you have to wander around as a Dwen for the rest of your days. Then there are the Lajables. Lajables are beautiful women who wear big fancy white hats and long white dresses to cover their feet. The reason they wear long white dresses to cover their feet is because the way that you tell a Lajables is that instead of two lady feet, a Lajables has one lady foot and one cow's hoof. And Lajables are kind of like sirens, so they lure people into the mahogany forest so that they wander around lost forever. So if you see a pretty lady on the side of the road and she looks like she needs help, make sure you look at both her feet before you stop. Then there are the Sukuya. Sukuya are old ladies who take off their skin, leave it in a nice, safe place, and then fly around in a ball of flame, sucking people's blood. You may have sometimes woken up with sukuya bites, but they look an awful lot like mosquito bites, so it's hard to tell for sure. Now, Corinne, she doesn't believe in Jumbies. She thinks that's just made-up stories, made up to scare little kids. But one day, some trickster boys steal her mother's necklace, the necklace that her mother left for her. And Corinne, to get her necklace back, she ventures into the mahogany forest. Even though she knows that's a place you're never supposed to go, she goes in there. And when she comes out, something follows her out. In the Jumbies, Corinne will face the worst Jumbie anyone has ever seen on her island. A Jumbie bent on taking Corinne and her father. A Jumbie who will stop at nothing to get her revenge. If you like creepy stories, if you're brave enough to face the things that go bump in the night, then pick up The Jumbies by Tracey, Baptiste.
So this is one of my favorite books that came out this year, and I've actually read it quite a few times already. It's called The Nameless City by Erin Hicks, and it's a graphic novel, so while I'm telling you about it, I'm going to show you what it looks like. The Nameless City tells the story of Kaidu, or Kai as his friends call him, if he had any friends. Like the other teenage boys in his homeland, he's traveled to the city of Dandao to train to be a soldier and to meet his father, General Andron, whom he's never really known. It doesn't take him very long, though, to find out that he's not really very good at being a soldier, and doesn't really like it. So when his dad shows up during training and offers to give him a tour of the city and get him out of class, he jumps at the opportunity. Kai soon falls in love with the city of Dandao, and especially with its delicious food, but soon learns that not everyone in the city is happy. The people of Dandao live in poverty and hate the people of Dao, who conquered and rule over them. Kai experiences this firsthand when he sneaks out of training the next day and meets a street urchin called Rat. When Rat steals the knife that Kai's father gave him, Kai tries to get it back. He chases her across the rooftops of the city, but when she makes a fantastic leap across a wide canal, Kai realizes he has no chance of getting his father's gift back. But through some fast thinking and a little luck, he manages to get ahead of her and catch her. Impressed since no one has ever caught her before, Rat agrees to teach Kai how to run like she does if he'll bring her food. The two spend their days racing across the rooftops of the city, but meanwhile tensions between the Dao and the people of the city have reached their breaking point, and it just might be up to these two unlikely friends to save the city they both love. So, if you're a fan of thrilling adventure stories or tales of friendship, maybe you like Amulet or Avatar The Last Airbender or Bigfoot Boy, then check out The Nameless City by Erin Hicks.
Thanks so much for listening today. I hope that you heard about a book that sounded good to you. If you did, remember that you can check out all of these books for free at the New Albany-Floyd County Public Library. If you didn't hear about a book today that you really thought you would like, then I want you to still come down and see us at the library, because we're happy to help you find any kind of book that you would like to read. And if you don't have a library card, remember that you can get a free New Albany-Floyd County Library card. Just come down to the library anytime that the library is open. Make sure that you have a parent or guardian with you to sign for your card, and we'll get you all set up. So thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you at the library.